But why is that? Let's go over what moves were made. And you tell me which one that you wanted. There were like 11 total moves, but I'll go over some of the big ones right here. Sauce Gardner gets traded from the New York Jets to the Indianapolis Colts. The Jets received 2 first-round picks and wide receiver Adonai Mitchell. So what do you think about that? So you got 2 first-round picks for that. Would you have paid 2 first-round picks to bring in Sauce Gardner? And it's an honest question. We'll get it out there, right? The second trade that was done was Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle, traded from the Jets to the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys sent a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick and defensive tackle Mazi Smith, old Michigan Wolverine, to the Jets. Would you have done that? Would you have paid a first and second round pick? And let's say, I guess we would say Talik Williams. Let's say Talik Williams. That's about the same. Would you have sent a first and second round pick and this year's first round pick? So essentially 2 first round picks and a second round pick for Quinnen Williams. Would you have done that? Is Brad Holmes dumb for not making that move? Then Rashid Shaheed traded from the New Orleans Saints to Seattle Seahawks. Seattle traded a 4th and 5th round pick for Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints. Would you have done that? Do we need a wide receiver? Jacoby Myers was traded from the Las Vegas Raiders to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Raiders received a 4th and 6th round pick. Would you have done that? Do we need a wide receiver? Defensive end Tyron Shoyinka traded from the Jets to the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears sent a 2026 6th round pick and a 2026 7th round pick. Them Jets, I think they're going to have about 400 draft picks next year. The Jets doing the full-on fire sale from the Jets. Would you have done that? That actually looks more like a move that Brad Holmes would have made if he was going to make a move. Late round pick for a depth piece on the D-line. Would you have done that? Jalen Phillips got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 3rd round pick. That's probably the biggest question right there. Should have Brad Holmes went in and undercut the Philadelphia Eagles and tried to get Jalen Phillips? I don't know. The thing is, there's a lot of talk out there. A lot of people are mad at Brad Holmes, and I'm not seeing anything on this trade deadline that is like Brad Holmes was just sitting on his hands and he should have done any of these things. Essentially, Dallas Cowboys traded away their best defensive player, a pass rusher, and Micah Parsons, got 2 first-round picks, and they traded those first-round picks and got Quinnen Williams. So you traded a defensive tackle for a defensive end. High end, there's nothing wrong with Quinnen Williams. He's a great player. You got a badass right there. Essentially, you have a wash going on right there. Now, I respect the move that the Indianapolis Colts did. It may be a little too expensive for Sauce Gardner. You may say that. You could say that. But you could also say that they're all in with their good season with Daniel Jones. They needed a number 1 corner, and boy, did they ever go out and get one. But we got DJ Reed coming back. Terrion Arnold just came back. The backup cornerbacks seem to play pretty good in the absence, so we got depth there. So I didn't really see a need. Would I have been upset if the Lions traded 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner? I don't know, probably a little bit. It's pretty expensive. I don't like that move for the Lions, because at some point you just got to really realize that Brad Holmes he's believing in what he does, and not making a move is a move. If you believe in your guy, everybody said they want offensive line. I didn't see any offensive linemen on that list. I think Miami traded for offensive line, paid like a 6th round pick for an first rounder. If you needed a move to happen, what was the move? Trey Hendrickson didn't move. Max Crosby didn't move. The only one I can really think of is the Howie Roseman move of getting Jalen Phillips. And that's okay. If you want to die on that hill and say, they didn't get Jalen Phillips, so they're not going to win a Super Bowl now. But that's a myth. It's a myth that you win Super Bowls by trading. It doesn't work. It's proven not to work. Year after year after year after year, trading away all your assets for some big splash move at the trade deadline doesn't work. And that's been proven. And for some reason, we get it stuck in our head like it's this thing that works. I mean, even during the offseason, you want to count the Packers in that? They traded 2 first-round picks for Micah Parsons. Is that going to work? Is that going to be their Super Bowl? Yeah, sure. If 19 teams all go all in, make a big trade at the deadline. Everybody wins a Super Bowl. Everybody gets a Super Bowl because they made big trades. Stop, Russ. It worked in 2021. 2021 was 4 years ago. 4 years ago. You can say whatever you want. I don't mind if you want to get on the side of Brad Holmes isn't going to win. Brad Holmes is dumb. I guess Brad Holmes is dumb. What did you want him to do? You tell me what the move is. It's easy just to sit on the sidelines and just say, that doesn't work. That didn't work. It won't work. Well, what's going to work? I don't know. I don't know anything that would work, but I know that didn't work. Dumb logic. It doesn't work for most of the teams. It can't work for most of the teams because every team can't win the Super Bowl. This isn't a point, broski. This is just bitching. Here's the point, Russ. Brad Holmes didn't go all in the offseason or the trade deadline. Russ, there's an entire league of players that you can go after. Which ones? What move was it? Tell me. Sure, I'm willing to have a discussion here. Why didn't Brad go get an offensive lineman? Because they don't. You know what happens when you have good offensive linemen? You want to keep them. You don't trade them, which is more evidence. You didn't see a whole bunch of offensive linemen getting traded at the trade deadline, did you? But I ask you, I'm throwing it out there for you. If you can put something into the comments that isn't just, he just messed up because he didn't do anything. You could have gotten the whole league worth of stuff. Well, who? How much does it cost? Who do we have to get rid of to bring that guy on the roster? Fred says that the Lions didn't have a third to offer Phillips. So a second? Should we have offered a second round pick and went and gotten Phillips? Who? Do I have to be an owl up here, broski? You're not saying anything. Which left tackle? I just gave you everybody that got traded during the offseason. There were no left tackles available. None. No left tackles got traded. Try again. Man, they should have gotten Max Crosby. Man, they should have gotten Myles Garrett. Yeah, they should have went and gotten the best players that that other teams aren't willing to trade. So 0 offensive linemen of any significance were traded. Only Brad Holmes missed. What are you going to get that somebody is willing to give you? The only offensive linemen that you could get, even on a possibility, are offensive linemen that the team that's trading them doesn't believe in. I'm not blindly defending him. I'm offering you an opportunity. Offer me a suggestion of something that Brad Holmes missed on. I put a post up yesterday. Notable teams that did not make moves at the trade deadline. From Jeremy Reisman. Let's look at this. I just want you guys to be honest. That's all. And you have to prove to me at this point that you're not just bitching. But are you buying this? The Lions, Packers. I'll take the Packers off of that list. Packers, because they did trade 2 first-round picks. So pull the Packers off of that list. Lions, Vikings, Niners, Rams, Buccaneers, Panthers, Bills, Chiefs, Broncos. All of those guys aren't serious about winning the Super Bowl. None of those guys made moves. None of them will win the Super Bowl. None of those teams. I mean, since we're just putting everything into the basket of Brad Holmes did something or he didn't do something, a better question will be, to be a little bit more fair, since only 1 out of 32 teams wins the Super Bowl, let's use this list and ask this question. And this is a good question. It's either going to be the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Because the Philadelphia Eagles are the only one that made a trade that the Lions, you could argue that they should have made that trade. I'm not beyond criticizing Brad Holmes, but I need something to criticize him with. So Jalen Phillips is the only player that was traded that I believe that you could even try to make an argument that he's dumb for not trading for. So the question that I will ask with this is, will one of these teams win the Super Bowl, or will it be one of the big moves? So is the Super Bowl winner going to be on this list? And I'm pulling the Packers off of this list. Do not look at the Packers on this list. The Packers will be on the other list, which is the Packers made a big trade. Indianapolis Colts traded away multiple firsts, and the Dallas Cowboys traded away multiple firsts. So it's either somebody on this list is going to win the Super Bowl that didn't make trades, or one of those other 3 teams that I just mentioned that did make a big trade. Does big moves guarantee you to be the Super Bowl winner? Because if one of those teams, broski, if one of these teams right here wins the Super Bowl, then you're wrong. Minus the Packers. Minus the Packers can't be on that list because they traded for Micah Parsons, so they are on the big move list. They made a big move this offseason. Does big moves quantify Super Bowl wins?